Hello, welcome to the program, The Issues with Topsy Gimba. The Issues comes to you at about this time, 9 o'clock to 9:45, where we look into national issues and discuss them. The program also provides us the opportunity to interact with those who make news. And of course, you know that the program runs from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, where we analyze issues in the best way we understand. You know, Nigeria is again getting set for yet another round of general election. That will be 2027. And politicians are very much ready, having understood that INEC has actually set aside free campaign to start on the last week, of course, where all political parties are engaged. Individuals that are supporting who seeks for what are already beginning to talk. I ran into a most popular Nigerian politician and also an activist who at one time served as a senator representing Kaduna Central, not any other person than Senator Shehu Sani. Now he stands as a APC candidate for 2027 senatorial seat, still at Kaduna Central, where he talked to us on why the comment made by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on the reversal of removal of subsidy that President Tinubu came up with. According to him, that's Atiku Abubakar said that subsidy is not paying what it should pay, and we cannot continue to remain dogmatic on a policy that does not really work. And so if he's given the mandate in 2027, he will now reverse that policy. Of course, APC didn't take it lightly when they heard that commentary made by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, including those who are actually members of APC and are supporting the administration. They have started talking against Atiku Abubakar for actually going against that particular policy set aside by the present administration. One of these persons that highly respects this administration is Senator Shehu Sani, who actually came and hit so hard on Atiku by telling him that Nigeria will not find it very well with him if this policy is considered, if he succeeds to become the Nigerian president. That of course against the masses. But with the coming of this administration, Tinubu-led administration, much money for the subnational, that state and local government, and much money to carry out city function, looking at the way it is. And so no more money given to individuals that used to be in the past. And so if Atiku comes and makes that kind of arrangement, it then means it's policy so much so, and that will not be tolerated. We are going to listen to the interview that we had with him exclusively. And here we are with Senator Shehu Sani, APC candidate for 2027 senatorial seat, Kaduna South. Don't go away.
As the nation ages towards the 2027 election, it is an important moment in the history of our country. Our democracy has been able to survive all sorts of turbulence, crises, and storms in the last 26 to 27 years. This is the first time in the history of our country that democracy has lasted so long. We have seen what happened in the First Republic, we have seen what happened in the Second Republic, and we also saw what happened in the aborted Third Republic. We have seen our democracy pass through periods of trial in the last 26 years, and we are able to emerge stronger. I know it has always been the case. Each time election is very close by, people make a lot of pessimistic predictions about the unity, the peace, and stability of our country. But like all other countries of the world, we also have our problems, and they also have their problems. Even the most advanced democracies that have been practicing democracy for over 2 centuries, they have also been facing their own problems. There is no perfect democracy anywhere in the world. So it is on the foundation of that that I wish to address you today. We are hopeful that the 2027 election will be one that will be transparent, credible, and will offer Nigerians the opportunity to elect or re-elect those who will lead them or those who will represent them at the two arms of government, whether the executive or the legislature. The parties have been able to conform by the INEC rules and also by the extant electoral laws of the country. Many have conducted their primaries and they have also submitted the names of their candidates to the umpire electoral body. And we hope and we pray that this election ahead will usher in a stronger, united country that will produce leaders that will lead us to the next phase of our national life. But I'm a bit concerned about three things which I said there is a need for us to take a very critical look at it as a people and as a country. One is the sectional and ethnic dimension of our politics and our politicking. At this time of our country's life, we should assess, analyze, and elect leaders based on what they stand for and what they can deliver for us as a country. The use of ethnic, sectional, and religious sentiment to attack political leaders or contestants or candidates or political party does not augur well for our country. I know that when politicians are desperately looking for votes and seeking to be elected into office, they can use any tool, any arm, anything at their disposal for them to be able to get to where they want to be. But before our own individual ambition, there must be a country first. If there is no country, we will not be able to realize our own individual ambitions as a people. We have seen how nations within our continent have gone into war and crisis, and we also have that experience as a nation in the 70s, and we have passed through all those phases, and we ought to have overcome all those things now. The use of ethnic groups, religious groups to undermine, to destroy, to damage and attack our political parties and candidates is not in the best interest for our country. If you are campaigning for political positions, you should campaign based on issues, based on your programs and based on policies. And if you are taking on a candidate, you'll take him on based on issues, on his policies and his pronouncement and his pledges. But you cannot hide behind religiosity or ethnicity or sectionalism to condemn or cast aspersion on candidates, which is very wrong. Now, the second aspect of it is that the opposition in Nigeria, particularly the ones led by His Excellency, the former Vice President, whom I have always respected as a distinguished statesman, have taken our politics to outside of Nigeria. The idea of seeking easy road to power by their strive towards seeking validation on President Trump and the EU is not helpful to our own democracy. They should concentrate on issues and make themselves available and appealing to the electorate rather than trying to criminalize the president or criminalize his political ambition or seek President Trump or the EU to disqualify him. It's not in our best interest as a country. By what they are doing, they are damaging the reputation of the country. They are criminalizing the whole of our country, as an independent African country, as also an opposition in Nigeria. They should be able to reach out to the masses, convince them of the need for them to evict, eject, or dislodge the ruling party without becoming subservient and kowtowing to the interest of the Western world. So, as far as I'm concerned, I believe this is simply exacerbating or escalating the image of Nigeria as far as I'm concerned. You have seen how the South Africans have been criminalizing our people. You have seen how even our people are being pushed out in Ghana. You have seen the kind of hatred against and contempt against Nigerians in all parts of the world. Well, you cannot now, as an opposition leader, go out of Nigeria trying to criminalize the president, trying to criminalize our democratic system, trying to seek the disqualification of President Tinubu simply because you want to be in power. When in the past others tried to use that against the former vice president, many of us were very critical of that. So we are an independent country. No one should go outside of our country trying to seek the support of those persons, those nations there to come and dictate to us what we should do in our country. So I believe that that is a very bad, a negative strategy, political strategy, that is not helpful for our country and also for the image of our country. The third issue I want to address is the recent statement made by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on his pledge to restore petroleum subsidy. I've been an activist and also someone who dedicated most part of his life in support of subsidy in the past, because as an activist, we, under our own groupings, civil society and labor, we many times protested in support of subsidy in Nigeria. But at a certain time, we had to ask ourselves a number of questions with regards to the subsidy issues, which we couldn't get answers to. But specifically on the person of the distinguished statesman, Atiku, I believe that what he's saying is outright deception on Nigerians. As someone who has always subscribed to Bretton Woods institution neoliberal economic policies, someone who believes in World Bank, IMF prescription, devaluation of currency, privatization of public enterprise, and all sorts of policies, capitalist bourgeoisie economic policies, and someone who has in all his political history and campaign stood for removal of subsidy, for someone now to have made a reversal simply because he needs votes, there is need for Nigerians to seriously not take it seriously with what he has said. For a number of reasons, what he said is virtually impracticable. Impractical in the sense that first of all, he has made several statements in support of removal of subsidy. And now, election in the next 2-3 months, he's pledging to the people that he is going to restore subsidy, which is virtually impossible and an act of pure deception. And the factors are very clear. First of all, Nigeria has been spending over 3 to 4 trillion naira subsidizing petroleum product, which is very shameful as an oil-expecting country, a country that has been so blessed with oil. We are pumping about 4 to 5 trillion in order to subsidize petroleum, importation of petroleum product. I don't think that makes any economic sense to anybody, anywhere in the world. Secondly, we have seen how beneficiaries of subsidies use this mantra of subsidy to defraud our country. Many of them have cases in court where hundreds of billions of naira was looted and diverted from the national treasury in the name of importation of petroleum subsidy. I don't think any candidate that is worthy of leadership should pull us back to that era. We have also seen how subsidy has been used by unscrupulous elements to smuggle petroleum products to our neighboring countries. When Nigeria subsidizes, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Benin Republic doesn't subsidize, what is very clear is that our own petroleum product will be cheaper than the one they are buying in their country, and then people will now start smuggling those things here. That has stopped with the erasure of subsidy in our economic life. So I don't think it makes any sense for us to go back to that level. Now, the removal of subsidy has also been able to provide resources for subnationals, for state governments and local governments, for them to be able to use for roads, for schools, for hospitals, and also be able to address their own capital and recurrent expenditures in their own states. It is a fact that before 2023, our economy has granted to a halt, and states, many of them are highly indebted, and they can't even do anything. But now they have resources and construction work, infrastructure development projects, and many things are going on in the state. So do we want to go back to where we come from? I think it's a question that we need to ask ourselves, and I don't think any reasonable person will think of that. The next phase of it is that Nigeria is currently using about 80% of its revenue to service debt. So where are we going to get trillions of naira to be pumping to people who simply are engaged in business of importation of goods to subsidize what we already have as a country to our own people? So if any politician make pledges of revamping our refineries that we can be able to refine our own crude oil, then he's making sense. But a politician that has been in the economic field for a very long time, telling us that we are, the way forward for us as an oil-producing country is to continue to import all petroleum products and again use our own foreign currency to subsidize it for our people to consume. For how long can we continue to do that? Now look at what is happening in Burkina Faso today. The young man here, Captain Traoré, nationalized the gold industry in Burkina Faso, and he is able to refine his gold to sell it to the outside world. Why is someone like His Excellency Atiku Abubakar not thinking of revamping our refinery to refine our products for our own people? That makes reason. And again, I don't think it makes any sense for a man like Dangote to have invested billions of dollars to build a refinery in Lagos. And instead of patronizing refined petroleum product from his own industry, we prefer to go to other nations and be importing diesel, importing petroleum, importing paraffin wax, importing engine oil, all in the interest of subsidizing it to our people. So I don't think any nation can think of this positive future if all that it has is to import and subsidize for consumption. And let us not deceive ourselves. The return of subsidy will not bring down the prices of commodities. It will simply distort the economic stability of our country. So I know very well that the removal of subsidy is causing a lot of hardships and economic suffering in the lives of our people. And it has been one policy that has created bad blood between the ordinary Nigerians and this administration. But addressing the problem is not going back to the past, but moving towards the future. Let us appreciate the fact that President Tinubu has pledged to revamp our refineries. And I know that there are people who want to sell these refineries. So, and they are not making a statement about it until maybe when they have power on their own hands. But as far as I'm concerned, his claim is misleading. His claim is not true. His claim is simply a political Trojan horse to garner votes, and I don't think if he is in power, he will ever think of removing. But because it's promises made by politicians, naturally. A politician can make a promise when he gets there, and then he uses some certain issues and say that is the reason why he can't do this, he cannot do that. But I think it's very important also for the federal government to know that the reform programs need a human face. And it says that as an oil-producing country, we should not be suffering. Our refineries should be working, because those countries we are importing those petroleum products also are using refineries. It's also important for us as Nigerians to also understand the positive side of this reform. No nation in the world can ever progress and advance from where it is without economic reforms. Economic reforms is what led South Korea to where it is today. Economic reforms under Lee Kuan Yew is what led Singapore to where it is today. Economic reform under Mahathir Mohamad in Malaysia is what led to where it is today. Economic reform is what led Indonesia to be where it is today. Economic reform is what led India to be where it is under the BJP. So we cannot escape from that. Economic reform under Deng Xiaoping in China is what led China to where it is today. So there are discomforts, there are inconveniences, and there are issues that comes with reforms. But the stronger message also I want to give to Nigerian political leaders and political elite is that in as much as Nigerians are ready to make sacrifices for the future of our country, for the future of our people, then sacrifices should also be seen in the hearts, the minds, and the lives of those people holding positions of political authority and power. We cannot tell the ordinary people to suffer, to make sacrifices, while we see ostentatious and opulent lifestyle in the lives of people holding position of power and authority. So cutting the size of government, making personal sacrifices by those at the executive and legislative arm is very important. And let us also understand that for those who are seeking political positions, that the country doesn't have to fall because you lose elections. The country doesn't have to scatter into pieces because you lose elections. And also, it shouldn't be apocalyptic if you cannot win. It's a contest. And people should stop making negative predictions about the future of our country. We are a nation of 230 million people. We have seen what is happening in Sudan today and Libya. And we must be very careful in managing our crises and our issues as a country. And for me, as a person, my own personal opinion, I strongly believe that 2027 election should be for Southern presidential candidate, because it is unfair, it is unjust, it is inequitable for any Northerner to think of contesting election in 2027. Buhari has had it for 8 years. It is not written in any of our laws. It's not written in any of the constitution of our country. But the fact remains. This country has gone through crisis, problems, civil war, and the need to respect the diversity of our nation and the need to give every part of the country the opportunity to produce a leadership for this country is as important as the survival, the peace, and the unity of our country. So I am very much in support of President Tinubu for his re-election, and I very much support that the opposition party should consider a southern presidential candidate so that the North will not be challenged in 2031 for fielding a candidate in 2027. Because if the North field a candidate in 2027, it will be challenged in 2031 that it has not respected the principle of rotation of power. And I don't think that is verified. So we can't eat your cake and have it. If you have a presidential candidate in 2027, also make it possible for the South to say they will still contest in 2031. So let us respect the realities of our history. Let us also respect the realities of our diversity. And let us work towards a peaceful and credible election in 2027. Thank you and God bless. I don't believe that what he said is true. And the questions we need to ask ourselves is that what is the better future for us? To continue to import petroleum products or continue to patronize Dangote, who has a refinery in our country, or revamp our refineries to be able to refine our products? Because I don't think it makes any economic sense if we shall ignore a refinery that is in Lagos here, that produces for the almost many countries of the world coming here to buy. And then we now go to import petroleum products and use resources that we can use for health, for education, for infrastructure to subsidize. I don't think it's right. So even if we are subsidizing, why should we not be subsidizing what Dangote is providing for us so that we can all benefit from it? Why do we need to be importing petroleum, exporting crude oil, and importing petroleum? It just doesn't make any sense to anybody. Now, what the economists will not be able to explain to us is that we import furniture in this country. We import electronics in this country. The price of electronics in Port Harcourt is the same in Kano. It's the same in Maiduguri. A television station 40 inches in Kano is the same in Port Harcourt, the same in Maiduguri, the same in Sokoto. Who is subsidizing transportation of those things? So Africa cannot decolonize itself if it will continue to export its raw materials, to import finished product, and subsidize finished product for its own people. We shouldn't not just talk about importing petroleum product. We should even talk about importing other items. Should we continue as Africa to export cocoa and import chocolate? Should we continue exporting sugarcane and importing sugar? Should we continue to export wood and importing furniture? That should not be. If we are talking of an independent economic future, we should be talking about refining our raw materials and consume it locally. So that is what I'm saying. He is not making any sense. Atiku wants votes, he is pandering, he is playing to the gallery of the people. He wants the people to believe him that he is going to do that. But I know, at least in my little experience in politics, I know very well. I can promise you now, elect me, I am going to subsidize petroleum products. The moment I'm elected into office, what I will say is that I have gone into the books, I have seen the mess created by the last administration, I have seen the debt which they have piled, But I want Nigerians to give us some understanding that we're going to look into this matter, and in the next 2 years, and in the next 2 years that they tell you it's not feasible. Now look at this country here. Which government has not promised to restructure Nigeria? Which government has not promised to amend the constitution of this country? What is happening today? Restructuring comes each time before elections. Immediately after election, no restructurings happen. There will be one reason or another. Which government has not promised to reserve seats for women in Nigeria's parliament? But which government has actually implemented that? So, if you are a politician looking for votes, can promise to bring to you Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, Mars to your home, as long as he's going to get his vote. The moment he gets his vote, he will tell you it's not possible to bring those celestial bodies for one reason or another. So I think it's very important to take cognizance of that. Our democracy should advance to the point that when politicians make false promises, we should be able to detect it. Now, based on your question, this democracy is a product of struggle. People have fought for it. People died for it. People suffered for it. But it's unfortunate that 26 years after, you see individuals making inflammatory remarks capable of setting ablaze in this country. If God wants us to be all Christians, He will have made us Christians. If He wants us to be all Muslims, He will have made us Muslims. But religious leaders must be very careful not to burn down this country. Nobody can forcibly convert anyone to any religion. And religion, ethnicity, and sectionalism should not be used as a basis for political campaign. Politicians are struggling for votes. I know it very well. But it's just like what is happening in my own part of the country today. People who are talking about insecurity, there was insecurity under Buhari. They refused to speak out at that very time. For ethnic solidarity, for sectional solidarity, and for religious solidarity. There were bandits killing people in Zamfara, bandits killing people in Kaduna, bandits killing people in Sokoto, bandits killing people in Nyawur, in Kebbi State, and in Niger State. If you are talking of abduction of students that has happened in Kwara and in Oyo State, I can name a number of abductions that happened to you under Buhari. Under Buhari, there was abduction in Dapchi. Under Buhari, there was abduction in Greenfield University in Kaduna. Under Buhari, there was abduction in Bethel Baptist High School in Kaduna. Under Buhari, there was abduction in Government Girls College Jangibi. Under Buhari, there was abduction in Federal Government Girls College Yauri. Under Buhari, there was abduction in Government Science College Kagara. All students were abducted. Parents have to pay hundreds of millions of naira as ransom before they got their loved ones back. So why these people who are talking about this, why were they at that very time? They were quiet. When I was in the Senate, in the 8th Senate, each time I stood up to speak about the killing of my people, the banditry, the terrorism that had consumed the lives of my people, and the 8th Senate when Buhari was the president, those who have always stood up to criticize me for trying to damage the image of a president that came from part of my country were northern senators. So, is it right for you to keep quiet when your own was in power, and for sectional and ethnic reasons now, for you to speak? I can remember at a certain time, a traditional ruler in Kazana was suspended under Buhari time when he rose issues about banditry. And so Boko Haram didn't start today, ISIS didn't start today, but I can see appreciable progress even being made under this administration. We are not perfectly there, but we have left where we come from. I'm from Kaduna State today. You can see how our governor has been able to relatively secure our own state. Bruningwari used to be the centerpiece, the cesspool, the hub of terrorism and banditry. Every day from Kaduna to Bruningwari, you have not less than 6 to 7 kidnappings. Under this administration, with Obasanjo as a governor, he has been able to solve that. Kaduna Abuja Road is now relatively safer than it used to be. Most of the kingpins in these terror groups who are today killing people have not emerged, didn't emerge under Tinubu. They have been there. The Turji, the Kachella, the Baleru, the Yellow, the Aleru, all of them, the leaders of this kidnapping gang in Zamfara State, have been killing people, have been raping women, have been kidnapping people under Buhari administration up to this very time. So let us be very fair. It should not be a situation whereby you kept quiet when your own kingsman was in power, when all this things was going on, and now you are trying to use sectional, ethnic, and religious reason to spark up hatred against President Tinubu simply because it didn't come from your party. I didn't stop anyone from holding the government to account. They are elected into office. They should. But Ribadu as National Security Officer and the President, they have done a better work than the one we found under Buhari. If you have any other issues, you can raise it, you can criticize, but the way people have been whipping up sentiment, trying to whip up, and they do that because many of these political leaders, you see, if you are going to translate what they say in their local language to English, because they are sometimes very deceptive. When they are speaking to the audience in their own local language, is differently. They are sectionalists, they are religious champions, they are ethnic champions. And when they turn to English, they try to moderate. That's the fact we are seeing in this country today. Thank you very much, Agolo. Yes.
Yes. Okay, my question is two. First off, what role should local refineries